No, I really do believe there's a world where group and individual are going to find a way to come together and blend and give people the best of both. And I believe when we can achieve that, where you can have those great group bonding moments, but you can also have those moments of like, this is what I wanted from this trip. That's where that's where we're really gonna win.
Connor, I have something that I just read that I have to get your opinion on as a woman. I'm looking at this article and it says Air New Zealand to weigh passengers before they board the airplane. It is some international travelers leaving Auckland are going to be asked to participate in a passenger weight study. Are you jumping on the scale?
What? Why?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, to like gauge who should sit where in which part of the aircraft? Like what? I mean, yeah, I'd hop on the scale, I guess, but like I would imagine a lot of people feel incredibly uncomfortable with that prompt. Hey, welcome to your flight. If we could just get your weight like you are a horse about to enter the Derby, that would be great. What?
Yeah, I mean, so airlines do weigh everything that goes onto the aircraft. So from cargo to the meals on board to the luggage, they weigh everything, and now they're extending that to the passengers. This isn't going to be a persistent thing. It's just going to be a study, but very, very interesting. I mean, you're in pretty good shape, so you jumping on a scale is not going to be a weird thing. But I would imagine that some people are just going to have a visceral reaction to this.
I mean, understandably, and I totally get, well, it's very unusual. I get that everything gets weighed. But like, is this an experiment that they're looking at, or is this like going to happen often?
It's very, very narrow. So it's going to be part of a survey or a study done from, I think, what may be one of the world's longest flight, if not the longest, but it's from Auckland to JFK, which, dear God, if I was trapped on a plane from Auckland to JFK, that's absolutely insane.
How far would that be? Like 17 hours, 18 hours? That's insane. From Sydney to LAX, it's like 15. Oh my God. Yeah. 2 hours on the extra end. And then I'm trying to think. Well, they'd probably go the other way. Damn. That's intense.
Yeah. It's just about 8,819 miles. And if everything goes perfectly, you're going to be on that flight for about 17 hours.
That is nutty. That's
17
insane.
hours. It's actually kind of shocking to me that more people just don't brawl and fight on planes. 17 hours in a middle seat. I don't know how you don't lose your mind.
Yeah. Oh my God. Too much. It's too much. Anyways, let's get into our guest. So we interviewed Stephanie Harris. She is the president of the Incentive Research Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to studies and research and like advancing the science and application of incentives in the business world. So what Kenny and I do is book airfare for meetings and events. We have a booking platform online. So this was really cool. I thought this would be a perfect guest for us because incentive trips are kind of our bread and butter.
They are, and her organization is very interesting. They give away all of the research for free. So if you are a meeting or events professional, I would highly suggest going over to their website. I was digging through some of their research, and one of the things that we both violently agree on is when you book incentive trips, like company trips, just for the love of God, schedule in some free time. Don't have us going from place to place. Just give me a moment. I don't want to talk and smile like this, just over and over again for days and days on end. Let me relax. Let me kick it at the pool. I promise I'll be more apt to, do your little games and your little hoorah-rah chants when you do your programming. If I could just get 3 hours just to kind of hang out, listen to music, catch up on
Yeah.
some emails, and just catch a tan at the pool.
Take a nap. Yeah, Stephanie gets it. She totally gets it. So when you listen to the episode that we're about to launch into, we mention the IRF all the time. That is the Incentive Research Foundation, and Stephanie Harris is the president. So here we go. Are there any new trends with the way incentives are being planned and executed today?
There are a whole lot of trends in terms of incentives right now. So the last few years obviously had a huge impact on all things business. And I think we're seeing incentives used now more to connect teams, to manage through working remotely, working hybrid. That's a new thing for a lot of managers. I've been remote for 13 years now. So for me, it's second nature, but for a lot of managers and a lot of workers, it's new. You don't have the posters in the break room that say, here are our corporate objectives. You don't have those, conference room donut gatherings where everybody's talking about what's important to the organization now. So incentives can really help design well, connect people to those corporate objectives. They're being used more and more as a bridge. And when you have an incentive program that's like, hey, we really want people to focus on being responsive to our customers, and you can demonstrate and measure that responsiveness and tie an incentive to it, that is keeping that top of mind for employees. It's almost like creating culture now, because again, you don't have those in-office moments. Travel incentives are looking really different, and the demand for free time is so strong. It used to be if you won an incentive or you were going on an incentive, every minute of your day was scheduled. You got up and you had a group breakfast and you went to a town hall kind of meeting, and then you had activities, and then you came for the group dinner. People are exhausted and they don't find that, like, that's not fun. If you want to reward me, just let me do my thing the way I want to do it. And we see so much more of that now, so much more demand for that today.
Yeah, that's really true. So Connor and I just did back-to-back events, and on both events, on each of their like core day where there was a lot of education and activities, and we basically went wire to wire from 8:30 in the morning till like 9 o'clock at night. And we had, I think it was like a 30-minute break to change for dinner. And honestly, at one point, I think that it just kind of worked against what the design and the intention was, because I just wanted 3 hours just to kind of like, decompress, hang out, catch up on some emails, some work.
Be in Cabo.
Yeah. be in Cabo. Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely a call to all program designers. Just each day, build in 2-3 hours where there's nothing planned, and make it in the middle of the day to break up the event, because there is nothing worse than going from thing to thing to thing. And it just feels like your cattle being herded from one pasture to the other. It's suboptimal is what I would say.
Totally. And all you're doing is socializing. So by the end of the day, it's like, oh my God, I haven't stopped talking for 10 hours. This is crazy. And whoever made that itinerary that gave us 30 minutes to get ready for dinner was a man.
You hear anything on that? Yes. It's and that stress you feel when you're like sprinting to your room going, come on, elevator, come on, and you're throwing the next thing on. That's not rewarding. Again, like, here's the thing I find the most interesting. We're clearly in inflationary times, right?
Yeah.
Budgets have gone up. They certainly have gone up, but not at the same rate as inflation. So you're still trying to figure out how to pay for your programs. Here's a thought. Just leave people alone and let them do nothing for nothing. Costs you nothing. Let them just be in Cabo. Let them have the experience they want. Let them be at the pool, on the beach, wherever it is. That is a great satisfier combined with a great budget helper. So, we're kind of our own worst enemies in a lot of ways, I think, when we're designing these programs.
Stephanie, I have a question because we recently did a little bit of a team offsite, and the food and beverage minimum was actually so high that we couldn't spend it. So we had to just have them bring us food because I don't know, like we weren't going to hit the minimum. And I was wondering if what the hotels are doing with these insane minimums that they're putting in some of these contracts, is that to blame for part of this, or is my experience just a one-off and not, it doesn't cascade across the industry?
I mean, everything's a negotiation, right? And the place we're in, and we have a study in the field right now. We just pulled it out of the field on Friday. So I'm excited for it to come out and send it to you, because it looks at the expectations and reality of what's happening with hotels and what buyers expect, what's happening with destination management companies and what buyers expect, and what's happening with convention and visitors bureaus. I think everybody's trying to find their way forward right now. And it is about those key negotiation points. It breaks my heart to think of, a food and beverage minimum where you're just kind of having to get food that it's so wasteful and you don't want it. And we need to have programs and utilize the programs that exist today to donate that food back. I think it's a product of where the market is right now. And because it is such a strong seller's market, buyers have to be really thoughtful and really targeted in the elements of their contracts that they're negotiating. But it happens, right? We ebb and we flow. We have a buyer's market and we have a seller's market, but it is such a strong seller's market right now that you just have to kind of make the best of the contracts that come across.
Yeah. Expectations are at an all-time high. That's for sure.
They sure are. They sure are. And you can do fun, creative things. If you have a group and you have a really high food and beverage minimum that you're not going to hit, do like incredible specialty cocktails, do like really incredibly high-end food, but in, smaller for that smaller group. Sometimes it's just maximizing what you do have. But it's hard sometimes to hit that minimum. I had another group who was just talking about that they had, I think it was for 20 people, like a $4,000 food and beverage minimum.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Never going to be that hungry. Yeah.
You're so right, though. Less mac and cheese, more Wagyu and caviar. I want this too.
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
Bring on the move, It's like, let's do this.
Let's go back to what you were saying about the studies. So I would love to hear about some of the key findings or insights from the IRF's research studies that companies can apply to design these trips and implement successful incentive programs.
So we produce about a dozen studies annually. So there's kind of something for everyone in what we do. We have everything from trends papers that look at what's happening in the world of incentive travel. We have papers that are about how to effectively design the rule structure behind a study. So, I would say if we're talking about program design, we just released a study that looked at participant preferences for incentive travel that came out 2 weeks ago. And one of the things I was really excited to see in there was that 64% of Gen Z and millennials find group travel rewards to be extremely motivating. And that was even higher, even more of a positive response than we see from the older generation. So for me, I'm excited. That speaks to the long-term health of what we do. The main thing, I think, and again, you can find the top 10 trends in incentive design. You can find what gift cards are motivating right now to people. You can find the type of merchandise that people are buying more of. During the pandemic, we saw office-based gifts and furnishings way higher than we saw something like electronics, which used to be the lead. We're seeing this weird increase in logoed wear. It was like, what is with the logoed apparel? But it's the same thing, right? It's like people are trying to swag out their employees because they're not coming into a big office building with the office name on it. You're trying to create affinity by sending them that Yeti or that logoed mug or whatever it is. So, we have all of this merchandise incentives, gift card kinds of stuff. When it comes to travel, there are kind of endless trends. Again, we talk about destinations. So we look at the destinations that participants say they want to go to versus the destinations that buyers are actually buying. And there are big gaps today. I would recommend, if you're a program owner, that take a look at that study. Again, just released 2 weeks ago, available on the IRF's website, but look at that and talk to your people. People want to go to the Caribbean and they want to go to Hawaii, and cruises are seeing a huge comeback after really hitting rock bottom in 2020 and 2021. Cruises are now like number 3 in terms of the kind of destination that people want to go to. So I would say, talk to your participants, take a look at some of the data and research out there, understand your company culture, and build the program based on those people and your current circumstances. We're a guide. We're a great guidepost. We're a great place to look if you're starting to build a program and you need a toolkit. We have toolkits to help people build a business case around incentives. So yeah, I'm kind of wandering the earth here because there's so much to talk about. But I would say personalization, customization, think about your people, your place, your culture.
Very, very interesting. I actually just pulled up the research. So I'm looking at a chart here where it is the most important drivers of a positive incentive experience. And I'm just going to run through the top 7 here. So number 1, given ample free time to relax. Number 2, taking a guest along. We have some funny stories about that because we book airfare and we see year over year the guests change for some people, but we'll get into that. Number 3, you're provided a bit of spending money to cover extras or out-of-pocket expenses. Very interesting. Number 4, the trip gives you an opportunity to have unique experiences. That makes sense. Number 5, the trip offers luxury accommodations and experiences. So doing something a little bit elevated, which...
Luxury is huge in a post-pandemic world. People want to get out of their house, but they want to get out of their house and do it well. They are not about going to a mid-tier property. Give me a St. Regis, give me 4 Seasons, give me a Mandarin. That's where people want to go.
Yeah, if the company is paying the dime, I want to stay somewhere where I can't afford, right? That's like kind of the
Totally.
onus of it. And then the last 2 is the trip gives you an opportunity to experience a unique culture. And then the final one at number 7 was the trip was to a destination which you have never been before. Stephanie, I wanted to kind of double click on that one. Where are the top, maybe give me the top 2 or 3 incentive locations that you see a lot of people going to, and then give me one that you think people should consider that's kind of maybe under the radar.
The underdog.
So right now, and you mentioned Cabo earlier, Cabo is absolutely one of those destinations that's like, it is the top destination. Mexico, we constantly see people sending their attendees there. It's affordable. There's a lot of good that comes with those all-inclusives. because it's very controllable inside of your expenses. So, Mexico, Caribbean, we see a lot of like Vegas, kind of domestic destinations popped up, but attendee preferences, Hawaii is really, really strong.
Of course.
Western US, so whether that's Palm Springs, Vegas, California, Caribbean is really strong. And again, that's just in terms of preferences. For me, I'm a very different kind of traveler. So I really like things that are a little bit more out there, a little bit more unusual. Iceland, that's such a unique once in a lifetime kind of experience. Machu Picchu, incredible. All things Peru, incredible. You see my trip to Peru right here behind me. I do think we're seeing people go to Europe more and more, and I really do encourage that. There are so many incredible destinations, and what we see when we take people to Europe is they want to extend. They want to extend on the front and the back. They want to do fun day trips out to other places. So to me, I would say find out again where your people have been before. We do see Mexico and Caribbean. I think in the top 10 in that last study, 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 5 of the top 10 are Mexico, and the balance are Caribbean destinations.
Wow.
So people have done that, right? They've been there and they've seen it, and it's great. And it offers a great experience. But yeah, I think people are ready for a little bit more adventure and excitement.
Yeah. Like I said, we book airfare for meetings and events, and we have been sending people to Mexico like crazy. And
Ad
more than
nauseam.
ever, yeah, it's insane. And more than ever, people want to stay 3 days in the beginning and 1 day on the end, or they want to bring their kids along. It's not as much, you're right, it's not as business heavy as it used to be. It's more of like, okay, this is an opportunity to get to know my coworkers, less than it is an opportunity to cover like yearly goals and whatever it maybe used to be revolved around. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, the changing trends in incentive travel have caused us to spend a ton of money. So we have a booking engine that's used to book airfare for meetings and events. And, typically, I'm sure you've seen this working at Amex and just being in the industry. A lot of the booking engines, like the Concurs of the world, they're really built for like expense and everyday business travel. And what you just said kind of put the light bulb in my mind just go off. We've had to change so much of how our technology works to accommodate the way that incentive and meeting travelers travel, because they need more flexibility on staying pre and post. And then the company isn't always cool with saying like, hey, we'll just book whatever you want to do pre and post. So we've had to allow the traveler to select pre and post, and then give the company basically guidelines in order to do that. And then we've had to spend a ton of money and infrastructure on the experience of allowing the company to bill appropriately for that. So say that, you run a program Tuesday through Thursday, but your traveler is going to stay Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and their flight home on Sunday. Sunday returns are notoriously more expensive. And that Sunday return is $250 more than what the flight would have been if you came home on the normal pattern. Well, we've had to build in features and process that basically says, if you want to extend, we're going to bill the company for the, call it conventional ticket, and then bill the traveler the difference. So this is something that we've had to make responding to the industry, because the rise of leisure travel and people extending their trips has gone through the roof for us. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing.
Oh, it's huge. It is huge. Pre and post extensions are very much alive and well. And I do think it creates it creates a challenge, right? It creates some angst for organizations. Like you just said, you're trying to help them manage that expense. You can't just have everyone, you know, extending and you're covering that. So it does create challenges. I think that's where, AI and other tech are going to come into play, because if I look out 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I think there's going to be a lot more personalization and customization and
Mm,
demand for that inside of incentives, whether it is the pre and post extension, whether it's like a trip within a trip. So if you're in Europe and you are, let's say, based in Madrid, there might be a Barcelona group, there might be a group that goes to Marbella or hops over to Malta. Like you could I could see a world where it's going to enable a little bit more of that true customization of the reward so that it feels really special and really rewarding for you as an individual. We do see a lot of people who want individual incentive travel. And I don't know
mm,
if you guys have seen some of that demand, but the reality is individual incentive travel isn't really accomplishing what the company wants to do with a group incentive, right? Like you said,
interesting.
now it's the opportunity to get to know your coworkers because you're not in the office with them. And there's just something different about sitting around and having a drink with somebody than there is about being on Teams or Zoom or whatever it is. So I think there's a world where you can have a little bit of both through customization and personalization.
Yeah, we have partners and friends, Lori and Pam from Gift a Trip, where they've went down
Uh-huh.
the route
Yeah.
of selling the individual travel voucher, which for some companies, I could see in a world where it's like, if you look at a program from a 3-year arc, you do 2 years where everyone's together, and then you do 1 year of voucher work. So I think that maybe that's a way forward. We have a lot of clients that they are getting sick of doing the same old thing. So they're like, oh, okay, no more cruises. We've done the cruise. No more Cancun. We've done Cancun for 3 years in a row. So we've started to book more like off the beaten path places too. Um, and then
Like where?
we flew a group into Portland, Oregon lately, or recently,
Uh-huh.
and they went to like a wilderness retreat. So we've been seeing more and more wilderness like wilderness retreats, outdoor stuff. Because this year was the year of Mexico. Basically, it was the all-inclusive year of Mexico for us. And then now we're starting to see people venture out into like more weird places or off the beaten path. The only thing that I would say has been preventative is the airfare to some of these like kind of smaller locations is so high that it breaks the budget. So we have a few people that are looking at doing something truly unique, maybe in Jackson Hole, but then they price out Jackson Hole for airfare, and from the East Coast, it's coming in at $1,100. And it just blows their budget. So they're like, okay, let's fly everyone to JFK and do Manhattan. And so it's the airfare to some of these spots is creating a little bit of a challenge in my mind because we work pretty closely with planners and like putting together total budgets. And I see that some of these big cities with a lot of lift and great airports they're being a little bit more competitive because of the cost of airfare because it's just been so high.
It's a huge part of programs, and the airlines increasingly are getting out of the group offering space. I mean, I'm sure you all see it. And it does create a challenge because it's a big part of the budget. And like you said, it's a big driver.
Mm,
If you have a large group and you want to take them to, pause up in Montana or to Nova Scotia, like, by the way, both incredible destinations. I would go 10 out of 10 times. Amazing. There's a lift challenge. And
yeah.
I could not agree more that the influence of air is huge right now. And I would love to see the airlines kind of do more in that group offering and, find flexible booking paths and those kinds of things. I just don't know. I just don't know the way forward on that. I have no airline crystal ball. You all may have more of an airline crystal ball than I do.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. When you have bigger groups, you can contact the airline and have them like upgrade aircraft and stuff. But sometimes it's not enough. Like if you're going to take, 5,000 people into an island or into Halifax, I don't know. Like it's just, it may never be enough. And so, yeah, the bigger programs kind of need to go to those bigger airports where Lyft is more, it's more Lyft friendly. So it's a really, really good point. Yeah, airfare has been breaking budgets this year all over the place.
Well, and again, I guess that's why you see programs going where big airports, you see those traditional destinations building out more and more gates and more air capacity because they know that's how you win. Like that is how you win in the big group space.
Yeah.
So, doing waves is a great way to get around that. It's a challenge right now.
But it's pretty cheap from New York, Iceland. So I'm with you, Stephanie.
That's
that sounds like so much
on air,
fun.
give people free time.
Totally. So Kenny and I love talking about how a business is run, the ins and outs, how it operates. And I would love to talk a little bit about the Incentive Research Foundation's business model and just like where the revenue's coming from. I know you have like amazing events and meetings that you host, or I know that, you do all these awesome studies and research. Does it come from that? I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we're a trade organization. We support buyers and suppliers in the incentives industry with research and education. And that is the core focus of why we all get out of bed and what we do all day, every day. We are 100% supported by the industry. So the supplier base in the industry, whether that's hotels, cruise lines, airlines, destination management companies, etc., either by attending our events. We have year-long sponsorship programs that they participate in, and then we have people who sponsor our research studies. So everything we produce in terms of content is free. You can download anything from our website. You can watch any of our webinars. All of that is paid for by the supplier base in the industry that supports the IRF. We're incredibly grateful for what they do. We have a huge travel auction once a year at our big event that I am actually packing up and leaving for on Friday of this week.
Oh, that's exciting.
So it's so exciting. We have 500 incentive professionals coming together in Vegas. It's going to be an incredible program. And one of the elements of that program is a huge travel auction. That's a big way that we earn money that we use to pay for research studies as well. So the model's pretty straightforward. It really is about an industry finding value in it and coming to the table to fund it. And we love finding ways to deliver value for what they give to the foundation.
I have 2 more questions for you if you're up for it. Second to last. So as far as like the future of incentive travel, we've been hearing some crazy things, especially we talked to Pam and Lori about how they're sending people up in a giant balloon into space. There's just all these crazy cool things happening. Just like you were saying, people want the unique experiences. They want to feel like they left and like they were blessed to be able to go on this amazing trip. What do you see for the future of incentive travel, like 5, even 10 years from now?
I really do see this is where the world of AI and tech are going to come into play. I really see highly personalized, highly customized. It's almost like, you were talking about leisure earlier and that blending of business and leisure travel. I almost see, I'm going to have to create a word for it, like group plus individual, like Grindividual Travel. Like I see this world.
You heard it here first.
That's it. Um, no, I really do believe there's a world where group and individual are going to find a way to come together and blend and give people the best of both. And I believe when we can achieve that, where you can have those great group bonding moments, but you can also have those moments of like, this is what I wanted from this trip. That's where that's where we're really gonna win. And I do think some of these like incredible experiences are gonna start coming to the table. Some of the things that you were just talking about, but those are gonna be for a specific group, right? That's gonna be for when you're an automotive organization rewarding a dealer principal. That is the right level of wild experience that you can give to that kind of group. It's not going to be for everybody. And that's where I see these more blending of group and individual coming together.
Okay, Stephanie, you're the bomb. Thank you so much for coming on. I have one last question that everybody gets asked. So you're on Travel Nerds. What are you a nerd about?
I'm a nerd about two things. I am a data nerd
Perfect.
because, hey, that's why I do what I do. Love getting up in the morning, scanning the headlines, seeing what's going on, and kind of triangulating things. I find that really interesting. And I love having those strategic conversations. The other thing I'm a total nerd about is mental health. I am the girl who rides around preaching to everybody, take care of yourself and check in on your friends. And, the pandemic just wrecked people. And
Yeah.
I am big on taking the time you need. I'm big on if my team needs to step away, they need to really step away. It's important. So I spend a lot of time and energy kind of talking about mental health in the industry, wherever anybody will give me the platform to do it. So
That's amazing.
it's
Good
important.
answer. It's
Take care of
crazy
yourself.
that
Take a
it's crazy
break.
that take care of yourself is a hot take these days, but it is. You don't hear it very often. It's all like, get back to the grind. So that's a really good thing to remember and to hear.
Yeah.
I needed to hear that.
Take
Well,
care
thank
of
you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. I am totally going to attend your next IRF event. I don't think I can make it in 1 week, but you bet your ass Kenny and I are going to come to the next one. Well, thank you for tuning in, you guys. Follow us at Travel Nerds Pod on TikTok and Instagram. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, email us at hello@travelnerds.co. Later, nerds.